Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. 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 Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome again to Mr. Shipman's class. I'm Dr. Terrence Shipman, and I'm here with the lovely and beautiful Miss Prudence Williams.
Hey everyone, I want you all to check us out. Dr. Shipman is all over the world. He is being listened to in Ireland, Africa. What countries in Africa, Dr. Shipman?
I know Ethiopia for one. And I think we finally hit South Africa.
All right, South Africa, welcome to the party. We're also available, if you just want to see what we look like and what we do, we're available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. All you got to do is look up our handle, TerrenceShipman.com. So, Mr. Shipman.
Yes, ma'am.
Today, I thought we'd talk about a top 10 list that you posted on TerrenceShipman.com about teachers. Yes. 10 things that people probably don't know about teachers. You care to talk about that today?
Yes, I do. Let's talk about this. I think you should know. I think these things are very important and people know these things about teachers. And I think teachers need to know this about themselves. Start off with number 10. Many teachers teach because it's a secure job. It's great teaching short. It is a great teacher shortage in America.
Well, Dr. Shipman, I will be honest. I know this to be true. I have personally experienced teachers coming into the field, or maybe I should say professionals coming into the field from other professions where they've gotten laid off and had extended layoffs and walked right in the door with no training, no education background, and very little experience with children, and be hired straight off the street. Pass a background screening, have a college diploma, and make it through an interview without sounding like a psychopath, you pretty much can get a teaching job. And I as a veteran teacher who trained to be a teacher, who went to college to be a teacher, it saddens me on some level. Some of these people do wonderful.
Yes, some of them are great teachers.
And they bring to the table something that was missing. But it saddens me that so many people are avoiding education as a field in the first place. Our education colleges are highly underbooked at this point. Nobody's going into education, and there's a lot of reasons, which we'll get to at another show. Number 9. According to abcnews.com, teaching is the 4th most stressful job in America.
I agree with that 100%.
And why do you think it's so stressful?
I think it's so stressful because so much is asked of teachers. We're asked to do this. I need you to cover this duty. I need you to stand here. I need you to have these papers graded. I need you to be this teacher, that teacher. It is so much we have to do. You're a counselor, teacher. You're a parent. You got so many responsibilities. And most teachers take it home with them. They don't know how to relax. They don't know how to take care of themselves. It's too stressful.
I also find that the stress level comes from the accountability factor. I have been a teacher for 25 years, and I had an administrator tell me this. In education, in education, the teacher is accountable. The student is accountable. The parent is not accountable. And that is like trying to hold a table up with 2 legs.
It sure is.
What we find is kids will flunk. They may be retained. They may be put in ISS for misbehavior or home suspension or even an alternative school for misbehavior. Teachers are reprimanded. We're held to the fire about grades. We're held to the fire about classroom management. But at the same time, a parent cannot step in a school. A parent can put their child in kindergarten. Truthfully. And
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. A parent can go to the school, enroll their child in kindergarten, and never show back up until graduation day. And nobody says a word.
Not
They
a
don't have
word.
to answer phone calls, emails. I've worked in one school where the administrator called it community outreach. And literally, when we had trouble finding a parent, we would send the resource office, the police, to people's jobs and houses.
Yeah.
And even with that, some parents refuse to come in.
I think Texas has a state law where the parents have to go to a school for a conference once a year. It's mandatory.
Well, that would be very nice. That would be very nice. But honestly, it would be nice to have the time to see all the parents. But the thing that bothers me the most is when you have kids who truly need all three legs of the table. They need to be working hard. The teacher needs to be working hard. And the parent needs to be held accountable. And you can't get the parent in. Kids who are in the upper grades and cannot read. Kids who cannot do basic mathematical functions. But the parent never shows up. And so the kid just slides through. It's really sad. So what's number 8, sir?
Many teachers are offered contracts based solely on administrative recommendations.
Oh, yes. Your principal is your boss. I tell new teachers, when school coaches come in, when people from the state come in, when other teachers come in and observe you and even criticize you, don't you worry about it. If your principal has a problem with you, worry about it. Not your assistant principal, your principal. Because at the end of the day, the person who renews your contract in the state of Georgia is your principal.
I agree 100%. I think that gives a little bit too much power to principals, especially you see a lot of teachers just going along with a bad principal
Yes.
just to save their jobs. But you can't be upset with them because people need their jobs. You got to support your families. But you compromise so much to get along with this person.
Well, Dr. Shipman, there's a movement in Georgia, there's a movement in the country, but I have seen it in the state of Georgia, where leadership is shifting very quietly in education. About 10 years ago, the state of Georgia got rid of electing school district superintendents. And now the superintendent is appointed. At the same time, they got rid of administrative tenure. And it was sold to the general public as a wonderful thing. That local board of educations would have control over the superintendent, and that bad principals could be removed immediately. Well, and all of that is true. I don't have a problem with that. But what nobody ever told the general public was there was another side of that. By releasing the responsibility from the electorate, from the people, to get a superintendent in, now you are basically cutting the parent out of the process of leadership, unless they want to come in and argue their point. So rather than the parents being able to say, this is the leadership we want, we voted on it, this is what we want, now it's been appointed by 10, maybe 15 people in larger counties. The second thing is that principal thing. When I started teaching 25 years ago, principals were advocates for their teachers. They could look at us. Yes, they would look at a
100%.
superintendent and say, hey, my teachers can't do that. They are trying to teach. They cannot work your agenda right now so that you can get a $50,000 pay raise at the end of the year. They were advocates for the students and the teachers. They would shield teachers' planning time, shield teachers' conference time, because they recognized the importance of it. Now that principals do not have tenure, they are very reluctant to speak against the Board of Education and the superintendents because they could just get fired. Just like that. And so, in a lot of ways, teachers have lost their advocates. And when your principal doesn't like you, and I mean it just like I said, when you and your principal have a personal difference, and they are the ones who control your contract, and they are not advocating for you at all, it is a problem. You can not get a new contract and get blackballed very easily.
You sure can. And then the other thing is a lot of principals are getting in position and haven't taught long enough to be principals. But
A lot of superintendents, too.
Yeah, but that's another conversation. All right, number 7. Teachers devote nights and weekends for grading and planning.
Some teachers.
Some teachers. I see so many young teachers take on work, just carloads every weekend, every night. I was up planning this lesson. I was up grading papers. You have to learn how to plan and not grade. You have to learn, number 1, to go home, have a personal life.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. Rule number 1, take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, they will replace you. They'll have somebody in that class tomorrow or split your class up. Take care of yourself. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, don't take it home all the time. You have
Don't take it home most of the time.
Right. At the end of the school year, I've learned this. It's always like you never get caught up. Honestly, you never get caught up at work.
Ever.
And when you get at the end of the school year, guess what? You still not caught up.
Nope.
So when the school year begin, you get so much work, you're not gonna never get caught up. So just say, hey, put that down, go home, enjoy your life.
When I'm in a school system that I really like, and currently I'm at one I like a lot, I do allow myself one thing as far as extra work and staying late. I will allow myself one day a week to stay 2 hours late.
That sounds good.
And my reasoning behind the 2 hours is I work 40 hours a week. I would give you 42, but I have learned early in my education career not to bring it home. It is very rare that I bring home work. I have, and when I bring it home, it is not because something is due. It is because I want to. It is because I want the lesson to be a smash hit. It is because I'm so excited about it that I can't put it down.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that because one of the things school systems will do to teachers is overwhelm their time. Most people assume that because teachers have a planning period or even 2 planning periods, that time is theirs. 90% of the time, it is already allotted. I currently have 2 planning periods, don't you too?
We have 2.
And that is roughly 90 minutes of time. And on Mondays, I'm doing parent conferences. And that's not every Monday. I would say in a 4-week month, I do 2 weeks of parent conferences and 2 weeks where I have 90 minutes to myself to plan. Tuesdays, I have meetings. Wednesdays, I have meetings. Thursdays, I have meetings. And Fridays, I have parent conferences again. So when you boil it down, I may be lucky to get 120 minutes out of my, 450 minutes a week. Mm-hmm. And so it is something to look at. I've said to people, and I've been told I'm a little negative about this, and maybe I am. I've said to people, if the school system really wants me to do it, they will give me time to do it.
I agree.
Because I understand I am a professional and I watch other professionals stay late, go in early, I do give myself 2 hours. And many times it rolls into 4 hours or even more. But you do have to draw a line in the sand and say enough is enough. Because unlike other professions, when we're comparing ourselves, our salaries are not comparable.
And that's number 6. You jumped ahead. That's number 6. So let's move on to number 6. Number 6, teachers make less than people with similar or less degrees.
Exactly. Overall, teachers are just not paid that much. After 25 years of working in the field and being told I'm an expert, I don't really feel like an expert. I don't make what an expert makes in any other field. I'm not respected like an expert in any other field. But I love teaching, so no big deal.
I agree. I look at a lot of my friends. We all went to school together. They might just have a bachelor's, maybe a master's. Oh, they making so much more money than me.
Yep.
But that's okay. I love what I'm doing, and you have to love it.
Yeah.
But I do want to make that money one day.
It would be nice. It would be nice to be compensated. And you know, a lot of people have tried to equate test scores. I don't know how you evaluate a teacher fairly, because at the end of the day, it is all on the student. And to base my salary on what my students do means that I only want to teach the top students.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
And you can't control that variable. Because if I had students who made A's all year long,
I do.
and when it came to the state standardized test, they just bombed it. You never know why.
And I have students, I teach gifted kids, again, wonderful, delightfully bright children who care so much about their grades. And they're the exact opposite. They get to the state test, and you know me, you've known me for years. I have scores where I have kids miss only 3 questions on the state test. And it looks like and I do work hard, but I work no harder than most teachers. I just happen to have some incredibly talented and gifted students.
Yeah. All right. Number 5.
Teacher students loans are not forgiven unless the teacher works at a high-risk school for 5 years, and during the 5 years, teachers must make student loan payments. Can I speak to this one?
You can speak to that one.
And even after you do, they make the paperwork so difficult to get it approved that it is downright frustrating. It is almost feels like a scam. I have taught at nothing. My whole career has been teaching at at-risk school, except for 2 years. And because one of the schools closed before I hit the 5th year, they made me start over at year 1 at the next one. And it has felt very frustrating and bad. And as far as paying back student loans while you're working, hey, I was very blessed. My parents paid for my first degree and second degree. So I had no student loans on my bachelor's degree or my master's. I only got student loans on my 3rd degree. And so I was making a livable income, and I could afford to pay them back. When I look at new teachers coming out, and they are making less than $12 an hour if you calculate it out, and they're asked to pay back loans at exorbitant rates, my heart goes out to them. It's just too much. I have one coworker who just happened to have a child before she graduated from college, and she ended up to graduate with over $80,000 in student loans because she had no financial support from her family. It was all on her. She's raising a child now with something like $400 per month of student loans. And it is running her out of the teaching field. And she's a good teacher. But she will leave the teaching field, if I predict right, in 2 years. Because she's got to take care of her child. And she's got to be able to take care of herself. And she wants to buy a home. And she wants to buy a new car. And all she can do every month is pay student loans. Her child is on free and reduced lunch. That's how sad that is.
All right, let's move on to number 4.
This is yours, baby.
Teachers must work 2 jobs to pay their bills. Now, I'm going to tell you, in my career, for 18 years, I worked 2 or more jobs. I know a new teacher now. It's his 2nd year teaching. He teaches during the day, and he has his own math tutoring company in the evenings, and he has to rush out every afternoon to go tutor.
Mr. Shipman, tutoring isn't a part of your teaching job. So many people believe that.
No, it's not.
Tutoring is different from teaching. I am not a tutorer. I am a teacher. And I'm very quick to tell you that. And if you want a teacher to tutor, you're going to have to pay them.
Yeah, I just remember beginning of my career working 2 jobs, and I had to.
Well, I worked 2 jobs for a great portion of my teaching career as well. Fortunately, I'm fortunate now to be at one job, teaching only. However, I do have a college-age son, and things are very tight in my home, and I've actually started considering, Dr. Shipman, doing some lightweight part-time work, like teaching students, tutoring. Well, we have intercession. Intercession means at midterm you were flunking the course, and we allow students to redo the course over the weekends. And I'm considering teaching that as a way of offsetting some of these college expenses.
Well, I tell you, I don't miss working 2 or 3 jobs. I used to teach during the day. In the afternoon, I was director of after-school program. And then, on the weekends, I was the assistant manager at a movie theater. I don't miss it.
And did you have kids through all of this?
I had kids through all that. So I was a father on top of it, taking care of other responsibilities.
My mother and father were both teachers, and that is one of the things I remember very clearly as the child of a teacher. They were never home. They were always working. My mother taught summer school, she tutored. My dad was a National Guard reservist, and it was always something. It was always trying to make the ends meet. So that leads to number 3. Teachers must use their sick leave for maternity leave unless they have sick maternity leave. Unless they have sick maternity leave.
And it doesn't pay.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that. I was misreading it. So, I guess I'm the only one who's been pregnant in the room since you're a guy.
Yes. But we did do a podcast earlier with 3 wonderful young ladies who are pregnant,
right.
And they can give you plenty of information on this. If all you have to do is go back and listen to that podcast.
I was blessed when I had my son. I actually had in my sick leave bank over 100 days. So I was able to take a month off. He was born in June. So he was born at the beginning of June. He's smart on that one. I took off all of May, had him at the beginning of June, and had the whole summer with him. And he was and this was a while back when school started in late August. So he was about 3-4 months old when I left him at the babysitter. And so that wasn't hard. And I didn't run into the poorhouse because I had so many days. But I also had my baby much later than most women. I was almost 30. So, I had been teaching 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I had really accumulated a lot of time. Number 2, teachers spend their own money on many supplies for their classroom. So I got a funny story. I have a coworker who's been teaching 3 years. And she says she decided in her first year, after her first year, that she would never again spend money in her classroom. Uh-huh. I was like, way to go. But after working with her for a while, what I have found is she doesn't spend money in her own classroom, but she borrows from everybody. Mm. I kind of wish, sometimes she would spend her own money. It's always, do you got some tape? Do you got an extra dry ink marker? Do you have this? Do you have that? She always asks the front office before she asks her peers, but the front office has a limited supply. I am fortunate at my school. Every teacher gets an $100 allotment every year to order individualized supplies.
Or we don't get that.
Not your school, you don't get that?
Nope.
Well, I get that at my school, and I love it. But even with that, I probably spend more money than I care to admit to on my classroom every year, just to keep it running.
Yeah, I agree. I really try hard each year. Especially the older I get, the longer I stay in this field, not to spend money on my class. But you just have to. Like I have a printer in my room. Most teachers don't have a printer. Mm-hmm. I have to buy my own ink. You need tape for your wall because you can't use any kind of regular tape. You have to go get the good stuff, 3M from Walmart.
Or it will fall down.
Hey, see, we gave you some credit, Walmart. You have to. You had candy, other supplies. If you just, at the beginning of every school year, me and my bright ideas, I like to switch my room up. So I'm buying new stuff. You spend a lot of your own money during the school year.
I'm a science teacher and consumables. And for those of you who don't know what consumables are, I'm doing an osmosis lab on tomorrow. We're setting it up. Osmosis lab uses gummy bears. That's a consumable. Now, I will be honest, my county has a process for reimbursement. But when I say it is long and drawn out, it amazes me that they can give every student a laptop but not create a simple online form that would allow me to take a picture of a receipt and get reimbursed. At this point, I have to go through 3 people to get reimbursed $10. And yeah, and taxes never reimbursed. And it just becomes one of those situations where when we look back at number 9, the most stressful, 4th most stressful job, there are so many things on my plate to do. Getting reimbursed, as sad as it is, what do we call it? Time and investment.
Yep.
The investment of time for that itty bitty reimbursement is just not working. I actually probably manpower hours to get $10 reimbursed would spend 15.
I agree. All right, folks, we're almost finished with this great list. We have come down to number 1. Number 1 is most teachers teach because they love the art of teaching and children.
Yes, I love kids. I have known since I was about 14, whatever job I did, it would be with with children. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician, and then I realized I don't like sick people. And that kind of messed up that dream. But at the end of the day, I told someone today, a young teacher, she asked me why I had not gone into administration. I love teaching and being with kids so much that I looked at her and in honesty, I said, Dr. Shipman, because I can't imagine a day without them being with me. As an administrator, there would be several days that I wouldn't see my kids. Yeah. And that's not what I want to do.
Yeah. I did an interview last night, and I also got asked, why did you choose your career? I chose it because I wanted to make a big impact on children's lives. And I think I have. One of my students, I got invited to one of my students' their child birthday party. And I went to the party and the child was introducing me. He was like, yeah, this is my kindergarten teacher. But really, he was like my dad too. And that felt great. It's nothing like it that that you had an impact on somebody, not only teaching them, but just in their personal life, that you had that much of a influence on who they are today.
Yes, I had the very similar situation. One of my former students who went to the military, he's just graduated this last year. He's gone through basic training. He's gone through his military occupation training. And he came back and visited me. He walked in my classroom. He was so tall and handsome. I just jumped up and hugged him, and my students were standing. I was like, one of my past students, y'all. And I introduced him. And it just felt good that he felt he had earned 2 weeks time leave. And in his 2 weeks time leave, it felt good that he wanted to come and see me. And it felt good to me that when he looked at my students, he said, y'all listen to her. She gonna lead you right. She hard on you, but she gonna lead you right. That made me feel wonderful. I love working with kids. And the thrill I get, I don't know if you get it, out of imparting knowledge on kids, that moment when you see them get a bigger picture. I teach science, and when we talk about how little things in science connects to the relevancy of their real world, I just love seeing them put it all together and seeing how the world really works. It makes me happy. What about you?
It makes me very happy. I think like now in one of my classes we're reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and to see these kids light up. At first they read, this book is too thick. Well, I don't want to read this. I don't want to do that. But every day we've been reading it and we've been watching videos with it, and they loving it. They're just taking it in. And this is what teaching is all about. Introduce them to something completely different that they might, all they saw was the movies. Now they have seen the movie and now reading the book. It's taken them to a whole nother level. And they can't wait to finish the book as we try to get through it. But hey, we're having a great time with it.
So, Dr. Shipman, what I heard is teaching has a lot of stuff that is difficult, that is hard to surmount, that makes it a stressful career. But at the end of the day, I will say this honestly, even on my worst day of teaching, I laugh every day. And I'm not talking a light chuckle. I'm talking some child will do something that is so hilarious that I just laugh. I am just a true heartfelt laugh. I smile a lot at my job. I find joy in looking back over my past years. So I guess even if it's 9 out of 10 not so good, when that one outranks those 9, that's pretty great, ain't it?
That's a great day. It's a great day.
All right. Well, we have some questions, Mr. Shipman, from some of our readers. The first question says, how can one help prepare students for full day kindergarten? So I guess we're talking about a 4-year-old who has been going half day, like morning to noon or noon to 5, and you want to get them ready for a full day. What would you suggest to parents with that?
I think parents, first thing you need to do is talk to them and maybe visit a kindergarten class a couple of times.
So teachers won't mind that?
No, they don't mind at all, especially that'll give them more exposure. Let them visit a kindergarten class. And once they start, I think you really going to have to take the time you're going to have to pull yourself away from your child. That's the biggest thing. You can't be too emotional, because if you're too emotional, your child becomes emotional, and then it's a big mess on the first day of school. But just get yourself together before you take your child to school. Let them go. Let them go into their class and relax. And let the teachers and the paraprofessional handle it, because they are professionals and they will know how to handle your child.
So, Dr. Shipman, you wrote a book, Dr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles. It's your second book, and
it's the second book,
and it's called The First Day of School.
Mm-hmm.
And so, our second question comes about that book, Dr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles, The First Day of School. And the question is, you call the book a new classic. What makes this book a new classic?
I call it a new classic. It's a story that everybody knows, especially Americans know, because the majority of Americans have to go to kindergarten. And a couple of foreign countries, you all go to kindergarten too. Many parents know the feeling of having to let go of their child, or the excitement that your child has, ready to go that first day of school, running into class, then all of a sudden say, hey, you coming with me? Nope, you got to go in there by yourself. And meeting a new teacher, meeting new friends. This is a classic story. I had so many people over the past 6 months while this book's been out tell me time and time again, as I read this book, I couldn't put it down, because I was remembering how it was to take my child to school, how it was for me to be taken to school by my parent. It brings back so many emotions and great feelings in people. That's why it's called the new classic.
That's good. And I would say to you, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have the opportunity to go to school, everybody has a first day. Most of the times you're really tiny. You're what I call one of those little people. 3 or 4 or 5, depending on where you're at. Maybe even 6. But your world has been your parents' home at that point. Most kids under the age of 18 don't really have a world larger than their parents' home. And I think your book, because I have read it, I'm the editor, your book definitely shows that in one day, you open your child's world wide open to people and places and things and concepts they've never even considered by just taking them to their first day of school. All right, last question. What advice can you offer on how to get children to keep on track throughout the school year? How can a parent keep their children or help keep their children on track throughout the school year?
I think one of the things you have to do is make a schedule.
Yes.
You have to keep your child, especially a bedtime schedule.
Yes.
That's
Bedtimes are important.
You have to have routines. For 4 days a week, maybe 5, maybe Sunday. You have to go through, okay, when we come home, we're going to do homework, eat, or you're going to go play first. Everything has to be a routine schedule so the child knows that you know it. Even if they say, hey, we didn't get any homework tonight, have some kind of educational activity for them to do. Read to them for at least 15 minutes, or have them read to you, or listen to a book. I'm a big proponent of listening to a book.
Audiobooks.
But and please, if you can't do a parent conference, most teachers will do it by phone, or if you can't call, shoot an email, send a letter. Just let the teacher know, hey, I'm over here. I do care about my child. Just can't make it to the school.
One other thing I think you can do, and it's so easy, do educational things at home with your kids from day one. When my baby was a baby, I'm talking about 4 days at home, I was counting his toes. They absorb everything. When he was 2, we had a number line running from the ceiling to the floor. So with like the ocean drawn in, and it wasn't the whole room. It was just one portion, little section of the wall. Positive was above the ocean, negative was below. Did I believe he understood negative numbers? No. But I will say this. One of the first things his teacher said to me when he got in a class, it was around 5th grade, where negative numbers were introduced. He really grasped this very quickly. I like to think it was that number chart. He understood that if you're below water, you're negative.
Yeah. And I think with my 4 children, one of the things that they have always been around is books.
Oh, yes.
A ton of books. They just been around. It was their environment. If they wasn't books, it was some kind of reading material.
And parents, it doesn't have to be new books. Thrift shop books, yard sale books, library sale books. Ask people with older children, do you have any books? If you have a friend who's an elderly person in your neighborhood who's raised 2 or 3 kids, I guarantee you, they have a box of books in that house, and they are more than happy to give them to a good home. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree 100%.
I mean, I'm that mom too. Yes, come get these books out of my house. My child is now in college. 1, 2, 3, tie my shoe is no longer relevant in our home, but I don't want to just throw them in the garbage can. So please get books. They are available. Other thing, newspapers.
Yes. The child
Magazines.
Child asked me yesterday, where do I go get a newspaper? I was like, really? Yeah. Go to a gas station. Go to Kroger. Go to Walmart. You can still find newspapers around. Get one. Read one.
Send your children in the grocery store. Say, hey, what kind of cereal do you want? Oh, Mom, I want Fruit Loops. Go find them on the shelf. And, have them read the title to you and what's on the box so you know that they are reading it, not looking at the pictures. So there are a lot of things. Well, Dr. Shipman, I want to say one more time that you are available on Facebook.
Yes.
LinkedIn. YouTube.
Especially YouTube. Please check out our videos.
Instagram. And Twitter. I get so many compliments. I was recently we're in the midst of we're on the back end of a book tour for the first day of school. Yes, sir.
We have been probably about 15 places. One of the guys at the book tour came up to me and said, "Hey, I see you all over the social media." I have gotten that has been said to me so many times when we go out. People say, "I see you on Facebook. I see you on Instagram. Check us out." I want to hear somebody come up to me and say, hey, I seen you on YouTube.
All right, we got a challenge out there. Go find them on YouTube. And also, everyone, please stop by TerrenceShipman.com, and that is TerrenceShipman.com. Stop by at TerrenceShipman.com and check us out. Leave us a message. Throw up the thumb sign. Give us a wave. We just want to hear from you. Thank you so much for hearing us today.
And as I always say in closing, I am special. I am smart. I am somebody. Good night or good morning, and we'll see you next time on Mr. Shipman's Class.
Bye, everyone.
Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class.